Well, it wasn't the prettiest first three quarters for the Bulls. Almost seemed like it was going to be a repeat of the game against the Hornets, in which they lost to a 13-win team in horrible shooting effort. But then Andre Drummond ignited this Bulls team to a win, being that spark in the fourth quarter. It also helped that the Spurs really just completely folded. A young team and a tanking team that is going to struggle closing out games, which is why this is a game the Bulls absolutely needed to win. I tweeted right at the end of the third quarter that we need to see the Spurs do their best tanking job in the fourth, and they did not disappoint. Like, the game was tied just 2 minutes left in the third quarter. There was a period where the Spurs even led in the third, and then with about 5 minutes into the fourth, the Bulls were suddenly leading by 20 points, outscoring the Spurs 38-19 in the fourth quarter. The Bulls, they got the job done. They beat another beaten down team, a tanking team, which again, they're supposed to do. And they've now won 3 straight, which the Bulls have yet to win 4 straight games all season. They haven't been able to get over that 3-game winning streak hump. The Bulls are right back at it tomorrow, traveling to Memphis to take on the Grizzlies, a team that has been struggling a lot recently. Hopefully they can take advantage and get back to 500 for the last game before the trade deadline. But anyway, that aside, let's talk about this game. Bulls had a solid first quarter. Not sure what happened in the second quarter, where they enabled the Spurs to hang around, started making really careless mistakes, seeming a bit tentative on offense. They were missing shots like crazy, like you knew it was bad when DeMar DeRozan was airballing mid-range jumpers. The third quarter wasn't much better. The tension was a bit palpable among the players, getting a little frustrated, missing assignments on defense, not reading switches well, and this really didn't change until the final 2 or 3 possessions of the third quarter, where the Bulls closed out the third on a 7-0 run, and they took that momentum with them into the fourth quarter, opening up the fourth, going on a 17-3 run. Really a 24-3 run going back to the end of the third quarter. And at that point, you knew the Bulls weren't going to blow this. I mean, you never really know with this team, truly. But with the momentum on their side, nothing was going the right way for the Spurs as well, turning the ball over, not hitting shots. And also the Bulls just played incredible defense in that final frame. You knew that the game was going to be over. But man, shout out to Andre Drummond. I mean, who knows if he'll still be with this team beyond the trade deadline. He's been in trade rumors for the past few weeks after falling out of the rotation for a bit. But honestly, I don't really get why he's getting so much criticism. No one is saying he's a perfect player. He's not a starter level player in the NBA anymore, and he has his flaws, a lot of flaws. But for a team that has minimal size, that isn't the best rebounding team, when Drummond sits anyway, and is oftentimes void of energy, I don't see why he's the main trade target here, especially when you consider that he's on such a cheap contract, making a little over $3 million a year. Now, if some team is willing to overpay for Andre Drummond in a trade, okay, fine. But people have been talking about trading for Willy Hernangomez. Like, I don't see how that's an upgrade at all for the Bulls. If anything, Drummond is a much better backup center as long as he's focused, not getting lazy, which, yes, he does sometimes. And then the other piece about Drummond, dude was very professional about effectively getting bumped out of the rotation in favor of Derrick Jones Jr., a 6'5" wing. Didn't pout, didn't complain about it to the media, didn't demand a trade like so many players are doing nowadays whenever they're not happy with their role. Dude stayed ready, finally got an opportunity to get back into the rotation when the Bulls blew that big lead against the Clippers, when Vucevic sat and Zubac punished them as a result of it. And tonight, Drummond came ready to play. 21 points in 21 minutes. 15 rebounds, 3 steals, and a block, was plus 30 on the night. Plus 30. 9 for 9 from the floor. Didn't miss a shot. Dude was on his game, and he brought energy to the court. This team was a little lethargic and not really giving the type of maximum effort you would expect against a team that is one of the worst in the NBA. Drummond came in and changed that. Got the crowd back into it with this hustle and effort. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't all just Drummond. You had Coby White, he was hustling, he was great tonight, fighting for loose balls, getting to the basket, making plays for others. Derrick Jones Jr. coming up big on defense as well. And even though the Bulls' big three kind of struggled here and there throughout the game, they also turned things around the fourth quarter. Vooch actually played decently well against Poeltl. He usually doesn't have the best games against Poeltl, but he was good in closing him out for rebounds, posting him up for hook shots. Vooch finished the game with 22 points, 12 rebounds, and 4 assists to go along with a steal and 2 blocks. Zach Lavine was kind of trying to do too much, especially in the second quarter, committing some bad turnovers, not taking the best shots, but then, like everyone else, became laser focused in the fourth quarter. Ended up finishing the game with 20 points on 7 for 14 shooting. And then DeRozan, not necessarily the best shooting night for him, and he wasn't able to get to the line like we're used to seeing, but despite that, only 19 points on 8 for 17 shooting. He was a plus 32 on the night, which was a team high. Again, the effort was there in the fourth quarter. And you have to say that it was really led in main part by Andre Drummond in being that spark. of energy that the Bulls needed. It was also nice that the Bulls did finally start taking over the game because it did enable the starters to get a little rest before the game tomorrow. Would have been nice for it to have happened a little earlier, but I'll take that over a game that goes down to the wire against a team like the Spurs. The other thing I'll say, another solid game in which the Bulls moved the ball around well. 27 assists as a team. The other night, I believe they had 32. You're talking about a team that is in the bottom 10th in the league in assists per game. And a lot of it is because of the heavy isolation basketball and a slow pace of offense. I mean, I don't need to belabor the point, but we all know this team is leaps and bounds better when they're playing with a high degree of ball movement and pushing the pace. It's where they're at their best. And hopefully, even though this was against one of the worst teams in the league, hopefully they'll start putting the pieces together to get to that point and maintain some level of consistency for the rest of the season. It's going to be interesting to see how the next couple of days shake out leading up to the trade deadline, who will remain with the team, whether the Bulls front office will in fact make any big changes, be relatively quiet, or even stay put, which honestly, I'm not saying they should stay put, but I find it very hard to see a path in which they actually have legitimate options to truly upgrade the current roster in a meaningful way without totally just blowing it up. I could be wrong, but I'll have more content out on that in the coming days leading up to the deadline and what the Bulls could conceivably do with what they have to work with. So be sure to stay tuned for that. As always, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a video, and I will see you guys in the next one.